Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished panelists, and esteemed participants. I offer a warm welcome to all of you to the BDRL monthly webinar. I'm Samira Sohani, your host for today's session. I'm currently working as a research associate in the Bangladesh Rating Agency Limited, a subsidiary of Dun & Bradstreet South Asia Middle East Limited. Thank you all for joining us for this enlightening discussion on 4 decades of Islamic banking in Bangladesh: progress, prospect, and challenges. Before we begin, let me take a moment to introduce our esteemed panel of speakers. We have the privilege to introduce 5 distinguished experts who possess vast knowledge and experience in the field of Islamic banking. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Khaled Mahmoud Raihan, FCCA. Raihan sir is a Senior Vice President of Islamic Bank Bangladesh Limited at Managing Director Secretariat. Before that, he had served at the Corporate Investment Division of that same bank. He also worked as the Head of Financial Administration Division of IBBL. Mr. Raihan has completed his BBA degree majoring in finance and banking from University of Dhaka. He has also completed his MBA from University of Dhaka majoring in finance. He is a fellow member of Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. He is also a fellow member of Institute of Certified General Accountants of Bangladesh. We have the very privilege to have you with us, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Then our next panelist is Mr. Shamsud Doha. Mr. Shamsud Doha is an Executive Vice President and Head of Sharia Secretariat of Islamic Bank Bangladesh Limited. Sir has over 25 years of experience in the field of Islamic banking. Notably, he is the author of several significant books in Islamic banking and has contributed numerous articles that have been published in the various national and international newspapers and research journals. Mr. MD Shamsud Doha, sir, has completed his BSS honors and MSS in international relationship, respectively, from University of Dhaka. Later, he obtained a diploma in higher Islamic studies from Darul Ihsan University. He has also obtained a certified Sharia advisor and auditor of professional fellowship in Sharia advisory and Sharia auditing offered by AAOIFI. So we are very, very much privileged to welcome Mr. Shamsud Doha, sir. And we are also very, very privileged to welcome our next panelist, Mr. AKM Mizanur Rahman, CIPA, CSAA. Sir is an Executive Vice President and Head of Islamic Banking in Eastern Bank Limited. Sir is a keen banking professional, having more than 25 years of banking experience, mostly in Islamic banking operations. Sir has completed his MA in Mass Communication and Journalism from University of Dhaka. He has gained his Master's of Business Administration, majoring in finance from Darul Ihsan University. He is a certified Islamic professional accountant and also a certified Sharia advisor and auditor. So we warmly welcome you, sir, to today's program. So we are also very, very much honored to have our next panelist, Mr. Professor Dr. H.M. Mosharraf Hossain. Sir is currently working as a professor in the Department of Finance in the University of Dhaka. Sir has completed both bachelor's and master's majoring in finance and banking from University of Dhaka. He has completed his PhD in finance from University of Dhaka as well. And he has more than 24 years of teaching experience. Dr. Mosharraf has published 25 research articles, 2 research monographs, and 1 textbook titled Financial Markets and Institutions for BBA and MBA program. We are very much honored to have such an distinguished professional to today's program. And last but not the least, we have our honorable CEO, Sir, Dr. Saeed Abdullah Al Mahmood, FCMA, as the moderator of today's program. Apart from being the CEO of BDRAL, Dr. Mamoon is the independent director and chairman of Audit and Finance Committee Board of Directors, Northwest Power Generation Company Limited. He's an independent director of FAS Finance and Investment Limited. Dr. Mamoon earned his PhD in finance from School of Management, Asian Institute of Technology, AIT. He has completed BBA in Accounting and MBA in Strategic Management Accounting, both from Department of Accounting and Information System of University of Dhaka. Dr. Mamoon is a certified professional, cost and management accountant, and fellow member of Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of Bangladesh. So we are very, very honored to have such esteemed professionals with us today, who will share their insights on the progress, prospect, and challenges of Islamic banking in Bangladesh over the past 4 decades. So before diving into the discussion, I would like to request Dr. Saeed Abdullah Al Mahmood to take the floor. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Samira, for your very nice introduction. And again, welcome to all of the panelists and the participants and my colleagues to today's regular monthly BDRL webinar on the 4 decades of Islamic banking in Bangladesh, progress, prospect, and the challenges. So can I share the screen? Yeah. So I hope the screen can be seen.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. So welcome again from on behalf of the BDRL to all of you. So the Bangladesh Rating Agency Limited has the privilege to organize the regular monthly webinars on the different business and economic issues as the platform of discussion of the knowledge and disseminating our understanding and our experts' understanding among the participants. So in this time, we are very delighted to choose the topic of 4 decades of Islamic banking in Bangladesh. And the area has already established in the Bangladesh due to definitely its demographic reason that the majority of the population of Bangladesh belongs to the Muslim religion. On the other hand, the economic model and the banking model of the Islamic banking has already got its momentum in the Bangladesh economy. So BDRL as a knowledge-based organization works in Bangladesh as the subsidiary of the global company Dun & Bradstreet South Asia Middle East Limited. It starts its operation in Bangladesh in 2008 and is already licensed from BSEC as well as Bangladesh Bank as an accredited ECI. We have done already 40,000, more than 40,000, in fact, SMEs and the 350 corporate ratings by the end of that last year. And we are also very honored and delighted to have our other shareholders along with the Dun & Bradstreet, that is all a renowned financial institutions in Bangladesh, including Bragg Bank, Ideal Self Finance, Mutual Trust Bank, Eastern Bank, National Bank, Southeast Bank, National Credit and Commerce Bank Limited, Bank Asia Limited, and Delta Bragg House Finance Corporation Limited. So Dun & Bradstreet as a parent company, it has around 200 years legacy of providing data and other value-added services to different corporates around the world, to add value and helping the companies to grow. So almost 90% of the Fortune 500 company rely on the DNB data, and we have more than 500 million business records. In fact, it is already 510 million business records, and with the like office of 200 countries, it is providing the services to different businesses for like helping them for their growth. And the legacy of the DNB is very rich, and one of such an examples is that last in the 200 years, there are a lot of professionals working in the DNB and currently isn't working. And one of the great example is that like 4x US presidents were the employee of the Dun& Bradstreet, which demonstrate its very rich legacy of incorporating the professional and providing services to the corporates. And as I mentioned that it has already set up their operations in the more than 200 countries around the world. And Dun & Bradstreet South Asia Middle East established in 2003, and it is currently operating 67 markets in South Asia, Middle East, and Africa, with the 7 service line. There's a risk management, credit rating, credit bureau, sales and marketing solution, economic analysis, and research and advisory services, and fintech solutions. And BDRL is a Dun & Bradstreet South Asian Middle East company provided mainly 4 areas of services: credit rating, which is its core services, and advisory services in comprises management advisory services, ESG advisory, rating advisory, due diligence, economic and industry analysis. And we have also publications. We regularly conducted the research and disseminate the information related with economic and business issues comprising economic outlook, monthly business bulletin, SME outlook, impact analysis. And we also regularly conduct training for the internal as well as an external participants. And BDRL credit rating services provided like independent opinion, and the rating analysis is done by the internationally trained analyst. And we try to drive the insights from our analysis so that clients get the opportunity to use this input as the financial strategy. And also for their business decision making as a whole, we always try to provide the insights from our analysis so that our clients get the inputs for making their strategy and drive their businesses. So the uniquenesses of the BDRL compared to other competitive company in the industry is that, like it's a global company, global and around 200 years company. So the experience, the data, and the other resources help us to provide our clients services, which makes it very unique and robust as well. And we always try to incorporate highly qualified and internationally trained human resources. We use the robust credit rating methodology so that our clients get the wider view about their business as well as setting their financial strategy. And continuous research on the economic and business helps our clients and other stakeholders to track the economic movement. And countrywide business network also helps our clients to get the easier accesses to for getting our services as well. And our main objective is to find the truth from the data. We collect data, we analyze data, and from that we try to find the truth behind the data. And in this process, we try to find the better insights so that our clients and the business houses get the opportunity for better insights for which they can apply and as the input for making their better business decision. And as a whole, that credible credit rating provides the sustainable growth. We try to ensure the credit rating for the sustainable growth of the business as well as an economy. And today's like all panelists, all are the eminent academic as well as the industry practitioners who have the expertise in this area. And we are very delighted to welcome again, and thank you very much on behalf of me. Now, uh, at this stage, like we are very delighted to have our keynote speaker, whom we know since long as an enthusiastic of this area. He has not only been working in that industry for the long, but also he's a very passionate to explore the knowledge in the area of the Islamic banking and the finance. So that is none other than Khalid Mahmoud Raihan. May I request you to present your keynote space? I think half an hour will be fine. Okay.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'd like to share my screen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Honorable moderator of this today's webinar, Mr. Saeed Mamun, Chief Executive Officer, Bangladesh Rating Agency Limited. Respected panelist, Dr. H.M. Musharraf Hussain, Professor, Department of Finance, University of Dhaka. Mr. Mohammad Shamsud Doha, Executive Vice President and Head of Sharia Secretariat, Islamic Bank Bangladesh Limited. And Mr. A.K.M. Mizanur Rahman, Executive Vice President and Head of Islamic Banking, Eastern Bank Limited. Distinguished participants from different professional bodies, including ICAB, ICMEB, ICSB, SCCA, participants from different banks, non-bank financial institutions, corporate houses, rating agencies, regulatory bodies, my professional colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It is indeed a great privilege and honor for me to be invited as the keynote speaker on a very, very relevant topic, 4 decades of Islamic banking in Bangladesh, progress, prospects, and development, and challenges. So I'd like to express my gratitude to BDRL Authority for arranging such a time-befitting webinar. As you all know that they have organized this webinar in such a moment when Islamic banking industry is actually approaching towards 4 decades of its operation. And you all know 40 years is very significant. In this sense, it indicates maturity, it indicates taking responsibility, and it indicates to do something for the nation. And you all know that our Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, has been given the Nabuwwat at the age of 40. So 40 years has a very historic significance. So I think this is a very timely webinar that has been organized by BDRL Authority. So me, as Samira was talking about, I'm not going to talk about more detail on me. So how I have devised my today's presentation, I have actually covered as many as 7 areas today. First of all, I'll talk about different economic thoughts very briefly: capitalism, socialism, and communism. Then I'll talk about whether Islam has any economic thought or not. Then we will talk about basis, objective, strategies of Islamic economics. Then we'll talk about Islamic banking and its journey, 40-year journey in Bangladesh and its contribution. And finally, we'll talk about the prospects and the way forward. This is how I actually devised my presentation. I'll try to complete it within 30 to 35 minutes, as the moderator was talking about. Then we'll inshallah close the session. So as you all know, that mainly there are 3 economic thought: capitalism, socialism, and communism. So if we look at the basic principles of capitalism, capitalism is driven by market economy, where profit is actually the prime motive. And individual and enterprises are free to actually own asset without having any entry and exit barrier. And prices are determined by competitive market mechanism. Despite all the fact, capitalism was not successful because of some inherent limitation. Because you all know, in absence of moral values, no binding is there to maximize the profit, which result to create monopolies, and ultimately it exploit the whole society. And in some cases, government and industrialists join hands together for mutual benefit and ultimately exploit the common people. And in a capitalistic society, we see it creates imbalances in distribution of wealth. As such, rich become more rich and poor become more poor. So that's why nowhere in the world capitalism was successful due to these limitations. If we look at the basic principle of socialism, you see, as opposed to capitalism, socialism is driven by control market economy, where public owns all means of production and decisions are collectively taken, where no social classes is there. Despite having some good things in socialism, it also did not succeed, because in case of socialism, individuals lose their incentive to work and government again becomes a dictatorship, and less entrepreneurial opportunity and competition is there. As such, slow economic growth follows. If we look at the communism aspect, I mean basic principles of communism, communism is another economic thought where it is driven by controlled government planned economy. There is no private ownership of goods or asset. Rather, goods and assets are distributed or available to the people when needed. So there is no existence of social class as well. And in this case also, we have seen that everything is distributed equally. Dictatorship is, government is there, and productivity and efficiency are very difficult to achieve. Ultimately, people never achieve their goal. So due to this limitation, none of the economic thought is actually is prevailing in anywhere in the world in real sense of the term. So now the question comes whether Islam has any economic thought or not. So if we see, indeed, Islam has definitely is an economic thought. In the economic thought of Islam, two important things are considered. One is ownership of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we human being are the trustee or khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You all know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, in Surah Baqarah, ayat 30, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Allah said to his angel, I want to create Khalifa on the earth. Then the angel said, will you place them who will commit evil things and shed bloods? Are we not enough to glorify you, uphold you, or mention your absolute authority? Then Allah said, Inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun. This is the very important ayah in the Holy Quran, that I know that you do not know. So these are the two basic, principles, or two basic underlining guideline of Islamic economic thought. So Islamic economics actually deals with three basic questions. Also, these three basic questions is also addressed in conventional economics, but Islamic economics address this issue in a different dimension. First of all, what to produce? I mean the production decision. In this case, Islamic economics consider three aspects: necessity, comfort, and beautification, which we call jaruriyat, haziyat, and tahsaniyat. I mean, they prioritize the need of the people. And then comes to how to produce, I mean the management decision. In this case, Islamic economics try to solve the permissible mood and protecting the environmental issues and all these things. And thirdly, for whom to produce, I mean the distribution decision. In this case, Islamic finance or Islamic economics consider the socio-economic justice. If we look at the objective of Islamic economics, there is mainly three objectives. Number one, ensuring general well-being, that is we call falah ba kallan, and promote better provisioning, hasana, and finally, and most importantly, ensure justice, that is called adl, and excellence, that is called ihsan. In the Holy Quran, Surah Nahl, ayat number 90, Allah said, Inna Allah ya'muru bil ma'ruf ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan. That means ensure justice and excellence in your activities. So this is the very fundamental objective of Islamic economics. So if we look at the chronology, I mean, as we have talked about, Islamic banking is definitely a part of Islamic economics, and ultimately Islamic banking is actually based on some maqasid al-sharia. This maqasid, I mean the objective of Islamic banking, is once again based on four basic foundation of pillar. Number one, the Quran. then Sunnah, then Ijma, that is consensus of Islamic scholar, and finally the Qiyas, which we call interpretation of points of Islamic law. So if we define Islamic bank, it is the very popular definition of Islamic banking given by OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference, that was held at Dakar, the capital of Senegal in 1978, where it has defined Islamic bank as a financial institution whose statutes, rules, procedures are expressly stated commitment to the principle of Islamic Sharia and to the banning of receipts and payments of interest in any of its operation. So Islamic bank is actually a participatory banking. If we analyze the definition of OIC, we'll get mainly two dimensions or two components. Number one, commitment to the principle of Islamic Sharia, that is the maqasid or objective side, and then banning or receipt of the payment of interest. This is actually the mechanism side. So in my presentation today, I will mainly focus on the maqasid aspect, because mechanism aspect is a very broad area. We will not cover all these things. And another reason is there because Mr. Saleh Kamil, many of you have heard the name of Mr. Saleh Kamil. He was the president of IDB, and in IDB's AGM in 2010, 35th AGM, he had given a very interesting observation. He said, over the past decades, academic researchers, banking practitioners, and Sharia scholars have emphasized more on procedural side of Islamic banking. The underlying strength of Islamic banking is maqasid of this system, which did not receive due importance. So this is the time I think we should give more emphasis on the maqasid aspect, because there are a lot of works that have been done in the mechanism side. So if we look at the maqasid aspect of Islamic banking, there are mainly two dimensions or two broad area to ensure the objective of Islamic banking. Number one, maximizing the welfare or the maximization of welfare, and secondly, the elimination of ill-being. So these the two main objectives. Based on these objective of Islamic banking, we actually prioritize the Islamic banking issues. So what are the priorities? The priority areas are, in case of Islamic banking, distributive justice in resource allocation, need-based and welfare-oriented banking, and it is not at all a grid-based banking. Then comes to it is designed to ensure mass and universal welfare, and moral filtering is there in terms of providing financial services. I mean, ethical aspect of banking is actually the key role in this case. And finally, transfer payment, which is transferring the property or the wealth from the rich to the poor. This is also another the priority, which is being achieved by voluntary payment and compulsory payment. So compulsory payment, in case of compulsory payment, it is done by zakat and kafara, and in optional payment, it is done by waqf and sadaqah. So if we look at the savings, I mean, mobilization of deposit in the light of maqasid al-Sharia, we can identify some broad areas that are actually addressed in Islamic banking operation, like people's access to financial net. Islamic bank always encourages small ticket size deposit to bring to the banking net, and financial inclusion term is actually inbuilt in the Islamic banking mechanism, and it also ensures masalih mursala, which indicates benefit that is considered to be good in reasonable sense, and ensuring halal profit. It is another objective of saving deposit mobilization. As you all know, profit of the depositor is not fixed, rather it is actually linked or dependent on the investment income that is earned through deployment of mudaraba fund. I am not talking about this mechanism aspect today, as I have told you. Banking. If we look at the objective of Islamic banking in terms of investment, we find out some priority area. It is not as I have told you. It is done for the maximization of the welfare. And in case of Islamic banking, as I have told you earlier, it prioritizes the need of the people before financing or making investment. It gives priority to the necessity, then comfort, then beautification, that I have told you, Jaruriyat, Haziyat, and Tahsaniyat, and all these things. And it considers the diversification of investment, and always discourages the concentration of wealth in few hands. As Allah said in the Holy Quran, Surah Hashor, that your wealth should not be distributed among few hands. So it does not invest in any product and services which are harmful for the society. That's why, even being profitable, Islamic banks in Bangladesh did not invest in a single penny in tobacco business. So these are the ethical aspects of being business or banking. And finally, it ensures to fulfill the basic needs and discourage the luxurious one. Say, for an example, if there are the two proposal comes to the bank, one is the Mercedes car, Benz car, and another is Volvo, which will carry more people. Definitely, Islamic Bank will focus on the Volvo, which will bring more people and spread the welfare among the many people of the society. So again, it actually emphasizes on investment which creates more employment generation instead of serving the purpose of the few people. So if we look at the journey of the Islamic banking in Bangladesh, the journey started in 1974. And it is the dream of our Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who actually dreamed to Islamize the banking system gradually. And the dream and the dream was actually first implemented by signing the IDB charter, which was signed by the then finance minister of the Bangabandhu government, Mr. Tajuddin Ahmed. And in 1978, the definition of Islamic banking was approved by OIC that I had just shared with you a few minutes ago. And in 1979, ambassador of Bangladesh to UAE recommended the government to establish a bank like Dubai Islamic Bank. And in the same year, Ministry of Finance took opinion from the central bank. In 1980, Bangladesh Bank sent a representative team in abroad to study more about Islamic banking. And in the subsequent year, in the third Islamic banking conference, the president of the conference actually gave his firm commitment to actually develop a separate banking system to facilitate trade and commerce. And in 1981, Ministry of Finance wrote to Bangladesh Bank to open separate Islamic banking counter in all branches of state-owned bank as a pilot project. And consequent to that, in 1982, IDB team visited Bangladesh and showed their interest to participate to establish in a joint venture Islamic bank in Bangladesh. And in the same year, BIBM conducted a training course on Islamic banking to develop the conceptual framework. There are a lot of events are actually taken place during this period. I have mentioned some very key or important areas. And finally, the dream of Islamic banking comes true in 1983, when Islamic Bank Bangladesh Limited was incorporated as a first Sharia-based bank in not only in Bangladesh but also in Southeast Asia. So if we look at the 40 years journey of Islamic banking, in 1983, Islamic Bank Bangladesh Limited was incorporated, and in 1987, Al Baraka Islamic Bank was incorporated. First, its name was Al Baraka. Then it fell in financial difficulty in 1994, and in 2004 it was renamed as Oriental Bank, and subsequently in 2008 it was taken over by ICB Banking Group, and now it is known as ICB Islamic Bank. Many of you know. And in 1995, two more banks were given license to operate Islamic banking. One is Al Arafa Islamic Bank and Social Islamic Bank Limited. And in 2001. Another Islamic bank was given license, Shahjalal Islamic Bank, and 2004. The first bank, this is the first instance in Bangladesh where a conventional bank was converted into Islamic Bank, Exim Bank. Although Exim Bank was actually started its operation in 1999, but it was converted into Islamic Bank in 2004. And in 2009, First Security Islamic Bank was given license, and in 2013, Union Bank was given license to operate Islamic banking. And in 2020, two conventional banks were allowed to operate through Islamic banking operation. One is Global Islamic Bank and Standard Bank. So these are the history I have just shortly mentioned due to time constraint. If we look at the Islamic banking industry in the last 4 decades, we see currently there are 34 banks that are actually conducting Islamic banking activities, and of which currently there are 10, as I have just mentioned, 10 full-fledged Islamic banks are there, having 1,605 branches, and there are currently 11 conventional banks that have 23 branches and 13 conventional banks that have 51 windows. So altogether, we have currently 2,139 units of branches and windows. So if we look at the Islamic banking, other aspect, like currently there are 50,000 people, employees or workers there in Islamic banking industry, and current deposit size is 4,10,000 crore, which contributes around 26% market share, and investment size is 4,05,000, which contribute around 30% market share of investment in the banking industry. This is the market share of deposit and investment of all Islamic banks. In case of deposit, IBBL takes the lead, having around 35% market share of deposit, followed by First Security Islamic Bank around 12%, Exim Bank around 11%, Al Arafa Bank slight over 10%, and Islamic banking window and branches contributed slight over 7%. And if you look at the condition of investment, you see in this case also IBBL takes the lead, where it contributes around 34% market share, followed by First Security Islamic Bank around 13% plus, then Exim Bank 11%, Al Arafa Bank around 10%, and Islamic bank branches, conventional bank Islamic banking window and conventional bank Islamic bank branches contribute slight over 5% market share. So if we look at the contribution of Islamic banking from international trade and remittance dimension, you see during 2022, Islamic banking industry actually contribute import of taka 1,687 billion, which contribute 26% market share of whole import. And in case of export, it contributes 24% market share, having export volume of 1,171 billion. And in case of remittance, it contributes around 39%, contribute around 750 billion BDT. And it's obviously, I should mention that 1/4 of the remittance comes from Islamic Bank Bangladesh Limited. So if we look at the contribution of Islamic banking from some dimension like deposit mobilization, as I have mentioned that that mobilization of deposit from the small ticket size or small depositor is actually the inbuilt mechanism of Islamic banking system, and it brought unbanked population to the banking net. And currently there are 2.85 crore deposit accounts is actually operated by Islamic banks in Bangladesh, which contribute around 21% of the deposit account of the whole banking industry, of which IBBL alone contribute 14% of the deposit accounts. And you know that although Bangladesh Bank instructed to open 10 taka deposit, it is around 2000, year 2000, but before that, IBBL and other Islamic banks started to open account at 10 taka deposit. So this is inbuilt mechanism of Islamic banking. I must say that. And in addition to that, there are some welfare-oriented deposit schemes like Mudaraba Waqf deposit, Mudaraba Horse savings deposit, Mudaraba Moho savings deposit. These are the unique product of Islamic banking, and now these are replicated by other conventional banks as well. And if we look at the contribution of Islamic banking from different dimension of investment, you see many of you can remember that textile and garments industry started booming from the year 2004 and 5. And during that time, Islamic Bank Bangladesh Limited actually takes the lead to actually build up this study industrialization. And currently there are more than 6,000 industrial units are there which are operated by IBBL, of which more than 1,000 garments units are there. So this is very important pillar of Bangladesh, where Islamic banking industry has huge contribution in general and IBBL in particular. And currently, industrial finance market share of Islamic banks is around 27%. If we look at CMSME, I mean, small and medium, cottage and micro enterprises, it contributes 38% market share is contributed by Islamic banking, Islamic banks. And if we look at agricultural investment, as you know, as part of national priority, Islamic banks gives emphasis on agricultural investment. Around 17% of the investment is contributed by Islamic banks, although there are some dedicated banks which are actually allowed to operate agricultural banking. Despite the fact it contributes around 70%. And in 2022, IBBL alone opened LC of $700 million against fertilizer, which contribute 63% of the total fertilizer import under government subsidy. So these are the basic thing, I mean, which we need to focus. And then comes to poverty alleviation. It is actually a unique product of IBBL, which has been replicated by other banks as well. It was introduced in 1995 as a Islamic microfinance model, where the member is around 16 lakh and many of them are women, around 92%. So Islamic banks contribute towards empowerment of women. And current deposit size is around 1,560 crore and investment client is around 9 lakh. And total outstanding investment is around 5,600 crore, having recovery of more than 99%. In addition to that, we have Islamic banking industry has some welfare-oriented investment schemes like household durable schemes, housing investment scheme, transport investment scheme, small business investment scheme, women entrepreneur scheme, etc. So these are all actually contributing towards the progress and development of the country. If we look at the contribution of Islamic banking from agent banking perspective, you see currently there are around 9,000 units of agent outlets are there, which are operated under Islamic Sharia or under Islamic banking, Islamic banks, which contribute around 19% of the total outlet. And in terms of deposit size, it's huge. These agent banking outlets of Islamic banks is around 18,000 crore, which contributes 59% of the deposit actually mobilized by agent banking operation. And in terms of number of deposit account, you see it is around 44 lakhs, which contribute 25% of the total deposit account mobilized by agent bankings. And in terms of remittance, it is also very encouraging figure. You see the remittance during 2022, the total remittance that were mobilized by agents of Islamic banks in Bangladesh is around 67,000 crore, which contribute around 58% market share. So if you look at the contribution of Islamic banking from socio-economic dimension, you see it actually employs, Islamic banking industry has employs huge employment opportunities, generated huge employment opportunity. Currently, there are around 1.2 crore people who are actually employed by Islamic banking system. And it also has huge contribution in building foreign exchange reserve. I must mention it because IBBL alone contributed USD 12 billion US dollars since its inception by selling foreign exchange reserve to Bangladesh Bank, which actually helped to build our foreign exchange reserve. So it is very special case in case of IBBL. And in terms of contribution to the national exchequer, you see during 2022, Islamic banks contributed around 6,700 crore taka to the national exchequer, either in the form of corporate tax, VAT, AIT, and all these things. And if we look at the corporate social responsibility dimension, as you all know, it is another area that is inbuilt in the Islamic banking system. So in corporate social responsibility during 2022, total corporate out of total expenditure under CSR, IBBA, Islamic banking industry expense was 1,129 crore, which contribute around 50% of the expenses of the whole banking industry. And IBBL alone contributed around 29% market share. And in case of implementation of stimulus packages, as you all know, government declared 28 stimulus packages during COVID and post-COVID scenario with a value of BDT 1.92 trillion taka, of which 10 stimulus packages have been implemented by Islamic Bank, total banking industry, having 1.69 trillion taka, and Islamic banking industry has also huge contribution in this area as well to implement the government priorities and implementation of these stimulus packages. If we look at the global aspect of Islamic banking, currently there are 526 Islamic banking around the globe, with 72 countries around the globe, and quantum of asset is around $4 trillion US, of which $3 trillion US is actually contributed by the Islamic banking system, which contribute around 6% of the global banking asset. And this is expected to grow 6 trillion mark by 2026. And Islamic finance market grew by around 11% in 2020. Now the question comes, why Islamic banking is growing faster than their conventional counterpart? Is it only because of religious emotion or something else? Several studies have been conducted, and it was revealed that it is not only because of religious significance, but also because of economic beauty and justification. That's why during global meltdown back in 2008 and 2009, we have seen that Islamic banking industry, not only in Bangladesh, but also around the globe, has showed their resilience compared to their conventional counterpart. And Islamic banking industry has expanded its operation not only in Islamic countries, but also in UK, USA, Germany, Argentina, Denmark, Luxembourg, Switzerland. So it indicates that it is not only because of religious emotion, but also the economic justification. So what are the key factors that actually drive this success? So I have identified some areas. There are many areas. So due to simplicity of discussion, I will focus on a couple of areas. In case of Islamic banking, money is not used as a commodity, rather it is used as a medium of exchange. And in case of Islamic banking, it's complete avoids interest in all of its operation. So compounding is not allowed, which is declared haram in our Holy Quran. So it operates basically, for the welfare of the people. So it ensures fairness and justice in all sorts of its operation. And most importantly, Islamic banking investment is actually done in real asset based and real asset backed. I'm not going to elaborate more detail on these areas because there is no fictitious investment is there. So every investment has some real asset. So that's why it showed more resilience. And finally, it is more supervised investment. That's why you'll see the cost of Islamic banking is comparatively higher compared to their conventional counterpart. You see, different studies suggested these things. And finally, it encourages socially desirable enterprises and discourages undesirable one. And most importantly, that we say here, the relationship between banker and the client is not borrower and lender relationship. This is known as partnership. So whatever the mood they are taking finance, either in the form of murabaha, mudaraba, musharaka, whatever the form, they are the partner. So that's the actually secret behind the success of Islamic banking in Bangladesh as well as in the global context. I am almost at the fag end of my presentation. So let me focus on the prospect of Islamic banking in Bangladesh. I will touch a couple of areas. So firstly, we have tremendous prospect in Islamic banking because 1/4 of the world's total Muslim population is in Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is considered to be the university of microfinance. And you all know that I have also showed the statistics. 1/3 of the country's private sector banking system is running under Islamic banking system. And there is a huge growing demand of Sharia compliant product. That's why you see there are a good number of private sector banks which are actually like to convert their operation from convention to Islamic banking. And there is a huge scope of clientele base and financial inclusion. And in the meantime, Dhaka Stock Exchange and Chittagong Stock Exchange, have introduced Sharia indices. It is another milestone. And most importantly, recent initiative of central banks are in line with Maqasid al Sharia. We have actually faced a lot of problem. Even last couple of years ago, there are few products for Islamic banking like BZIAB, Bangladesh Government Islamic Investment Bond, few product. But now there are a lot of products have been introduced, like with the initiative of the central bank as well as the government. So like Sovereign Investment Sukuk to 2020, then comes to IBLF, Islamic Bank, liquidity facility, then pre-finance is a recent development. I'm not going to talk about more detail. Pre-finance, earlier Bangladesh Bank gave refinance against CMSME and agriculture. Now they are giving pre-finance, which is more Sharia compliant. So these are the initiative, very bold initiative that are actually given by our central bank to actually fulfill the maqasid of Sharia in Islamic banking. And definitely there are some strong forum like Central Sharia Board and IBCF. And finally, what we want to see in near future, we want to see for the better success of Islamic Banking Act. We have already passed 40 years journey of Islamic banking, but we yet to have a separate Islamic Banking Act. Probably government is working on these things. Inshallah, we'll get the act soon. And upgrading of Islamic banking guideline, although the guideline was issued in 2009 and there is no development in this area, Bangladesh Bank probably is working on this area. And most importantly, Islamic banking should be incorporated in the educational curriculum. My professor sir is with us. I must say that in our course curriculum in universities, there are theoretical aspects are actually carried out. So I think the practical aspect is far. I am a finance graduate, but I have to learn a lot of things after joining Islamic Bank. So I think practical aspects should be incorporated in the educational curriculum to give a better insight for the next generation students. And higher training in Islamic banking is very required. Sharia board in central banks, inshallah, it hopefully we'll get it very soon. And research and development is the key to success always. And finally, uniform practices in all Islamic banks. We have seen that there are some disparity of practice of Islamic banking among the banks, but there should be a common platform. I think Islamic Banking Act and Islamic Banking revised Islamic Banking guideline will actually pave the way to give uniform practice in Islamic banking. And finally, and most importantly, international collaboration and branding is very important and key to success. So probably I have completed within 30 minutes, and I would like to conclude with saying this, that the remarks that I have passed, other than the fact, is my own and not necessarily the organization I am representing. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan Bhai. It was really composed, but definitely we all know that this is such a vast area, and the 40 years journey is not as an easy to cover within the 30 minutes. Like, in spite of that, like the whole picture you have portrayed, I believe that all of the participants got a snapshot, and which will be helpful for all of us to dig the issue and the journey. I must say that this is a very glorious journey. So before going to the next panelist, I just want to share one observation by the global credit rating company, that's a Fitch. Fitch recently has discloses its economic outlook of Islamic banking and finance for the Middle East, and it says that in the coming year 2023, like this profitability will be continue to grow for the Islamic banks, and its liquidity will be the stable, asset quality will be stable, as well as it is the capital buffer will remain same. But as we all know that global turmoil, economic turmoil is going on about different economic indicators. In spite of that, like the proponents of the different like expert opinion should demonstrate the stability of the Islamic banking, which is also very encouraging for us. And in addition, the real cases we have seen in Bangladesh, the how the Islamic banking concept has been contributing in the socio-economic development, and particularly one aspect has been nicely revealed by the uh, keynote speaker, that is the inclusiveness, like inclusion in the marginal peoples have been included in the banking umbrella, as well as in the women empowerment has been also considered. So from industrialization also to give the access to the marginal people, the like banking services has been ensured by the Islamic banking concept. So again, thank you, like Ryan Bhai, for like showing the uh, snapshot. I must say 30 minutes was not enough, but now we are very excited to listen from other panelists. So far we have seen that. Lira, could you please add the MD sir of the IBBL has joined as the normal link, general link. So may I request you that if you just convert sir into the like panelist. So at this stage, we would like to listen from our next panelist, that is Mr. Samsud Doha. He's the Executive Vice President and the Head of Sharia Secretariat, IBBL. So may I request you to shed the light that to what extent Islamic banking concepts uh, can continue its more impactful journey for the socio-economic development and the resilience of the banking sector.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Yeah, we can listen you.
Okay, thank you. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. All praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has given us.
Please increase the volume. Increase the volume of the microphone.
Okay. Volume.
I think it's okay. Volume is okay.
Okay, thank you. Again, who has given us such opportunity to be here with you in this webinar. It's a great webinar and timely webinar. Jazakumullahu khairan for giving me opportunity to be with you. It's a body of professional, as I know. Firstly, I thank Mr. Moderator for his nice arrangement, and also convey my salam to the all participants of this webinar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. First of all, I like to thank Mr. Khalid Muhammad Raihan, the keynote speaker of today's webinar, for his nice presentation. He has almost covered all the important issues relating to Islamic banking, its development. He has also talked about Islamic economic thoughts and many other issues. I again thank him for covering all the issues of Islamic banking, mainly. Actually, nowadays, we have to give attention. I mean, we have to give more attention to the Islamic banking system as we know that this system is representing its share, market share is around 39% as regards the remittance, and 30% about as regards investment. So it's a huge participation in the banking sector. So we have to give attention to the system. We have to care the system. We have to give more support to the system. Nowadays, for this huge contribution of Islamic banking, it cannot be, it should not be commented about Islamic bank that it's an alternative banking system. Now it is going to be a mainstream banking system day by day. Islamic banking's expansion is needed for the betterment of the country, because this system has some advantages that that conventional system do not. This banking system is offering all the banking services, the modern banking services, technologically advanced services, but in addition to that, it is giving something more. And that is very important for the customers, for the stakeholders. It is giving interest-free service. You know, interest-free service, it is religiously interest is a great sin. So all the people of major religion of Islam and Christianity, Judaism, even Hinduism and Buddhism, in all the religion condemn the interest, condemn interest. So this system is offering the interest-free system for it is comfortable for the customers of all beliefs, the religious people. This is number one. And also we know that interest have many negative consequences to the society, to the economy, and also to the moral standard of the people. So when this banking system is giving interest-free services, that is, it is giving a services that is free from all harm of interest. You know, the interest generates inflation, interest generate unemployment, and it is recognized by the many peoples in the West. Even they established an interest-free bank, that is JAK Members Bank, because they want to free the people from harm of interest, from the humanitarian ground. Number three, this banking system is upholding many other Islamic moral and ethical values. So this is an ethical banking. This is a faith-based banking, and it is offering extraordinary services. For this special nature of Islamic banking, we know that the Islamic banking is spreading. Also, there is another feature of Islamic banking that is extraordinary, that is welfare-oriented banking. We know Islam is a religion of welfare. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. You are the ummah, you are the nation who has been created for the well-being of the mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't say for the well-being of the Muslim only, for the mankind as a whole. So when we are talking about Islamic banking, we are talking about the welfare of all people. So for this special nature of the system, this system is expanding because people are getting banking services as well as additional other services that is good for them. Another point I like to add with Mr. Raihan, he has given some quotation from the Holy Quran about the ownership concept. Islamic economic concept is also important because Islamic banking system is a part of Islamic economic system. Islam has a comprehensive idea about economics. Brother Raihan, he has quoted from the Holy Quran a verse. I like to add another two verses or three verses. In the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Hadid, Surah number 57, verse number 7, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلَفِينَ فِيهِ, and spend of what He has given you as His trustee. The idea of ownership in Islam is a trusteeship ownership. So you are an owner. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in another verse, that is Surah number 24, verse number 33. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَتُوهُم مِّن مَالِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي أَتَاكُمْ. You give them from the Allah's wealth that He has given you. So all the wealth, all the property, all money ultimately belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are the supervisor. So every Muslim believes that he has accountable for all the asset, all the property given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to him. So whenever Islamic bank is functioning, all the time Islamic banking upholding this belief, whenever it is handling with the people's asset, the deposits, they believe, the people of Islamic bank or the employees of Islamic bank, that they believe that this is amana of the people, and this is ultimately the wealth of Allah. So we have to take care of it. And another thing, Islamic banking has many progress nowadays. Islamic banking, there is a big development for Islamic banks. It was in 1995 when Islamic Banking Company Act was amended. There was a clause in the Banking Company Act that the commercial banks was not allowed to operate buying and selling like this for commercial purposes. This is for all the banks all over the world. There is a common rule for the banks. In 1995, this clause was amended, and it was clearly mentioned that these conventional clauses is not applicable for Islamic banks. And at that amendment, the products of Islamic banking, like our buying, selling product, our ijara products, that was mentioned in the amendment. So Islamic banking now, under that amendment, Islamic banking functioning is operating is many products in Sharia compliant way. Although we feel there should be a separate Islamic banking act, that Brother Raihan, he has also said in his presentation, it will smooth the way of Islamic banking. This is a development and 2029, the Islamic banking guideline was issued. It's also another development. Sukuk, he has mentioned. Another thing, there is when Islamic Bangladesh Bank established a Sharia supervisory committee, Sharia advisory committee at Central Bank to look after the Sukuk. This is a big development. And also this Sharia committee, they have studied the product of Islamic Bank's liquidity facility, this product, and they have approved this, and that is why Islamic banks are now taking fund from Central Bank on Islamic way, not on interest system, that is Mudaraba system. And also in the Securities and Exchange Commission, they have issued a Sukuk rule. They have issued Sukuk rule. It is another development. And also they have recently established a Sharia advisory committee at Securities and Exchange Commission to promote the securities in an Islamic way. These are the developments. And I think I like to mention some point about the Sharia compliance of Islamic banking. In Islamic banking guideline, you see they especially mentioned the importance of Sharia supervisory committee. They have given the responsibility of Sharia compliance to the board of directors, but Central Bank said the board of directors may form a Sharia supervisory committee, and that committee should be independent to help them to run the bank in accordance to Islamic Sharia. And they have given fit and proper criteria for the Sharia scholars who can be included as a Sharia member. So nowadays, the Sharia members are qualified, and they have, in many Sharia boards, the Sharia members have foreign degrees. They have PhDs from foreign universities and from the universities in our countries. So they are giving advices to run the bank in accordance with Islamic Sharia. Central Bank in 2016, they have issued internal control and compliance circular that was issued from BRPD. And the important thing that was mentioned in that circular, there was an independent chapter regards Sharia audit. Sharia audit and Sharia auditing, they suggested the Islamic banks to run their audit in accordance to the risks-based Sharia auditing. This is a big development. And I request all of the brothers to see this development from downloading the document from Central Bank's website. It is open. Many things they have included. So nowadays, Islamic banks run its Sharia audit, to identify the lapses and also to correct the lapses, and where is the risk as regards Sharia. Many things central banks have given for Islamic banks. Sharia banking, Maqasid al-Sharia, Brother Raihan, he mentioned Maqasid al-Sharia is very important because Islamic banking nowadays is expansion is happening, as we see in Bangladesh, in many other countries in the world. But one thing we have to give more attention, that is Maqasid al-Sharia. Maqasid al-Sharia, that is the welfare, the Sharia, the Islamic Sharia wants welfare of the people. And also Islamic Sharia wants distribution of wealth, circulation of wealth. So how, by our Islamic banking products, we are giving these services to we are providing Islamic banking. This should be reviewed and this should be studied. So we in Islamic Bangladesh Limited, we are trying to develop some mechanisms, some tools to identify our areas of development as regards Maqasid al-Sharia. As regards challenges for Islamic banking, I think the Islamic banking, one of the important challenges, research and development for Islamic banking. We need more research and development for Islamic banking, because without getting proper understanding about Islamic banking, running an Islamic bank is not good for any way, I think. That is why we have to give more attention to this area. The people, the workforce in Islamic banking, they have to have clear idea about Islamic banking. They should not have any confusion about the system. They should have knowledge about and clear-cut knowledge about the differences between Islamic and conventional system. Number 3, nowadays there is a development that in our country, over I think 100 or 150 fellows from AOFI, Accounting and Auditing Organization of Islamic Financial Institution, Bahrain, they have become fellows of this organization. We call CSA fellow, CIPA, Certified Islamic Finance Professional. So they have, they can give more contribution to develop the research and development of Islamic banking system. We need to give more literacy to the customers of Islamic banking. If the bankers, they know the Islamic banking system, but customer If they are not aware of the system, we cannot achieve the main objective of Islamic banking. That is why we have to give attention to aware the customer about the Islamic banking system. And BRPD Circular 2016 also gave this instruction for Islamic banking to do this job. I think Islamic banking is doing well, alhamdulillah. And one challenge we have to face, that this banking is ethical banking. So if we, for the smooth growing of the system, the whole system of the nation should be ethics friendly system. Whenever if we get an ethics friendly system, I think the ethical environment, this Islamic banking system will grow more and more and will expand more. Thank you for giving me some opportunity to talk about the issue. Again, thank you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Unmute yourself. Dr. Mamun, unmute yourself. Okay, now.
Oh, thank you. And thank you very much for your very concrete and the precise like deliveries, highlighting the challenges and also the prospects of the Islamic Bank. Now this is the high time to listen from another practitioner of the Islamic Bank. He has a long experience in the area of the Islamic banking services. This is none other than AKM Mizanur Rahman. So may I request the Mizan Bhai for presenting your views about the future prospect of the Islamic Bank and how it can overcome the challenges.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, dear moderator, Syed Imamun, Chief Executive Officer, BDRAL, my friend, keynote speaker of today's session, Mr. Khaled Mahmoud Raihan, Mr. Samsudduha, whom I consider that he is my elder brother and friend also, and as a teacher also, and Mr. H.M. Musharraf Hussain, Dr. H.M. Musharraf Hussain, Professor, Department of Finance, University of Dhaka. At the very outset, I would like to express my gratitude to Almighty Allah, who has given me the courage and opportunity to be in this platform to say something about Islamic banking progress, prospect, and challenges. Our beloved friend, Mr. Khaled Mahmoud Raihan, has given us a good presentation with lot of information about Islamic banking, philosophy, and some data from the very beginning, 1974 to at this moment. I want to recall the contribution of our great leader in Islamic banking, Mr. M. Azizul Haq, whom we consider as father of Islamic banking in Bangladesh, who started his Islamic banking Andolan that I call in Bangla from Sonali Bank Staff College in 1981 perhaps. From that movement, we see that one Islamic bank has started its operation in 1983, which is Islamic Bank Bangladesh. But today, a lot of literature we find in various newspaper or article, but I don't know why name of Mr. Azizul Haq is not stipulated there. I think we should recall him and his contribution also. For the sake of this webinar, I want to express my rest of the deliberation in Bangla if you have no objection.
No, please.
আমি
Please, sure.
যে জিনিসটা বলতে চাচ্ছি সেটা হচ্ছে এজ এ প্র্যাকটিশনার আমাকে কিছু জিনিস আমি এখানে শেয়ার করতে চাই। রাহান ভাই প্রেজেন্টেশনটা অত্যন্ত সুন্দর হয়েছে, এটা আমি অস্বীকার করব না, কিন্তু এটাকে যদি আমরা কোয়ান্টিটেটিভ বা ইনফরমেটিভ হিসাবে দেখি ইটস ওকে, বাট কোয়ালিটেটিভ সাইডে আমি মনে করি যে এই জায়গায় আরো কিছু জিনিস থাকলে ভালো হতো। যেটা হচ্ছে যে শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্সের ইস্যুতে আমরা এখানে কিছু দেখিনি। আমরা এখানে কিছু আমাদের ডাটা থাকা উচিত ছিল যে আমরা আপনার এখন আউট অফ 61 ব্যাংকস প্রায় 34টি ব্যাংক ইসলাম ব্যাংকিং সার্ভিস প্রোভাইড করছে, প্রোডাক্ট এন্ড সার্ভিস প্রোভাইড করছে। এই যে 34টি ব্যাংক ইসলাম ব্যাংকিং সার্ভিস প্রোভাইড করছে, তাদের শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্সের অবস্থাটা কেমন? তারা কি এখন মার্কেটে আমাদের যে বদনামটা আছে, গুড়ায় খাওয়ার বদনাম, ইসলামী ব্যাংক শুনলেই কিন্তু যারা ক্রিটিক তারা যে বলে গুড়ায় খাওয়া, এই বদনামটা আমরা কতটুকু দূর করতে পেরেছি? এই বদনামটা আসলে কেন আসে? এই বদনামটা যেই কারণে আসে সেই কারণগুলোর ব্যাপারে আমরা সচেতন কিনা, এই বিষয়গুলা আসলে আসা দরকার। আমরা অবশ্যই বলবো যে ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং এখন অনেক, যেমন 30% জায়গা দখল করে আছে। আমি তো আশা করি আগামী 5 বছরের মধ্যে ইসলামী ব্যাংক অন্তত 40% জায়গা দখল করে থাকবে। আমার কাছে যে ইনফরমেশন আছে যে বিভিন্ন ব্যাংক যে হারে ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং এর উইন্ডো বা শাখা খুলতে চাচ্ছে বা কনভার্সনের জন্য বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকে অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করছে, তাতে এটা কিন্তু মানে আশা করা অমূলক হবে না যে এটা 40% এ চলে যাবে। কিন্তু এটা তো হলো একটা কোয়ান্টিটেটিভ দিক। কোয়ালিটেটিভ দিকে আমরা কি দেখবো? মাকাসিদে শরিয়া যদি অর্জন করতে চাই, যেটা রায়হান ভাই খুব সুন্দরভাবে তুলে ধরেছেন মাকাসিদের ইস্যুটা, আমাদের শামসুদ্দোহা ভাইও খুব সুন্দরভাবে মাকাসিদের বিষয়টাও নিয়ে এসেছেন। সেই জায়গাটায় আমরা আসলে শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্সটা কতটুকু করতে পেরেছি? আমার কাছে একজন প্র্যাকটিশনার হিসাবে আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে এই জায়গাটায় আমাদের অনেক কাজ করার আছে। আমরা শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্সে যতটুকু আমরা পিছিয়ে আছি, এটার পিছনে কারণটা কি? যেটা আমাদের চ্যালেঞ্জ, একটা অনেক একটা চ্যালেঞ্জ হিসাবে কাজ করতেছে। সেটা কি? যে আমরা যারা প্র্যাকটিশনার আমরা নিজেরাই শরিয়া বুঝি না হয়তো। আর আমাদের যারা শরিয়া কাউন্সিলে আছেন তাদের অনেকেই মুআমালার সাইডটা খুব একটা ভালো বুঝেন না। হ্যাঁ? তো এই যে জিনিসগুলার জন্য আমাদের দরকার একেবারে ট্রেইনড ম্যান পাওয়ার, যারা শরিয়া বুঝে প্রত্যেকটা প্রোডাক্ট থেকে শুরু করে এই প্রোডাক্টটা ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশন করব, এক্সিকিউট করব। আমি একজনকে কাস্টমারকে সার্ভিস দিব। আ আ তো সেই জিনিসগুলাকে যদি আমরা আ না বুঝি, তাহলে সার্ভিস দিতে গিয়ে শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্স যখন থাকবে না, কাস্টমার দেখবে যে কনভেনশনাল বলতেছে এরকম, আপনারাও বলতেছেন এরকম, শুধু একটা শব্দ লাগাচ্ছেন। এই জায়গাটায় গিয়ে আমাদের মনে হয় কিছু কাজ করা দরকার। এখন এই কাজগুলো করার জন্য আমার মনে হয় এখন হাই টাইম আইবিবিএল কে এখানে উদ্যোগ নিতে হবে এই ম্যান পাওয়ার ডেভেলপমেন্ট এর ক্ষেত্রে, শরিয়া ডেভেলপমেন্ট এর ক্ষেত্রে। আমি একটা জিনিস আপনাদেরকে বলি, এই যে আমরা কি ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং যারা করছি, আমরা কি একত্র হয়ে কাজ করতে পারছি? আমার মনে হয় না। আমরা মনে হয় আমরা প্রত্যেকে ইয়ানাফসি এই একটা ধারণায় আছি। আমি আইবিবিএল এর সেই যেই পত্র-পত্রিকায় যেই কথাগুলো বলা হয়, আমি এটার সাথে যদিও একমত না। ভয়ংকর নভেম্বর যে কথাটা বলা হচ্ছে। এই সময় দেখেন প্রত্যেকটা মানুষেরই যেমন একটা স্বাস্থ্য বা ভালো থাকতে পারে, খারাপও হতে পারে। হ্যাঁ? আইবিবিএল এরও একটা সময় ছিল মানুষজনের যে কারণে হোক প্রচার অপপ্রচার যাই বলি না কেন, ওই সময়ে কিছু ডিপোজিট চলে যাচ্ছিল এবং সেই সময় একটা লিকুইডিটি শর্টফল হয়তো দেখা দিচ্ছিল। সেই সময় বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক একটা এমএলএস মুদারাবা লিকুইডিটি সাপোর্ট একটা প্রোডাক্ট ইন্ট্রোডিউস করে এবং আইবিবিএল সেখান থেকে ফান্ড নেয়। তো ফেসবুক ফ্রেন্ড গণহারে প্রচার করা শুরু করছে আইবিবিএল সুদের উপর ভিত্তি করে বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক থেকে ফান্ড নিয়েছে। অথচ চুক্তিটা করা হয়েছে মুদারাবা লিকুইডিটি সাপোর্ট। বাংলাদেশ আইবিবিএল কে একা আমি দেখেছি তাদের ইয়েগুলো, যে তাদেরকে বলতে হয়েছে না আমরা এটা সরিয়া মেনে বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংকের কাছ থেকে নিয়েছি। কিন্তু আমরা যারা ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে অন্য ইসলামী ব্যাংকার আছি, আমরা কিন্তু আইবিবিএল এর পাশে তখন ওইভাবে দাঁড়াইনি। যে না, মুদারাবা লিকুইডিটি সাপোর্টটা আসলে একটা মুদারাবা কন্ট্রাক্ট এবং কন্ট্রাক্টের ভিত্তিতেই আইবিবিএল এই জিনিসটা নিয়েছে। এটা আইবিবিএল কে এই জন্য বললাম যে ওই সময় মূল কিন্তু কোপটা এসেছে আইবিবিএল এর উপরে। আমরা এখানে আমাদের ইউনিটিটা শো করতে পারিনি। ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং কে যদি আমরা আরো সামনের দিকে এগিয়ে নিতে চাই, যেটা ডাটা আসতেছে যে সামনের দিকে ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং এর আরো অনেক প্রসার হবে, সেই জায়গাটায় আজকে আইবিবিএল বিপদে যদি পড়ে, কালকে আমি পড়বো। আইবিবিএল এর মতো একটা বড় ব্যাংক আজকে যদি কোনো কারণে আল্লাহ না করুক এটা হয়ে যায়, আমরা যারা দরজা জানালার ব্যাংকিং নিয়ে করি অথবা অন্য ব্যাংকে আছি, আমাদের অস্তিত্ব কোথায় থাকবে? এটা হচ্ছে আমার প্রশ্ন। এজন্য আমাদের ভিতরে একটা ইউনিটি দরকার। আইবিসিএফ নামে আমাদের যে একটা প্রতিষ্ঠান আছে এটাকে আরো শক্তিশালী করা দরকার। সেন্ট্রাল শরিয়া বোর্ড নামে আমাদের যে একটি প্রতিষ্ঠান আছে এটাকে শক্তিশালী করা দরকার। ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং ইন্ডাস্ট্রির পক্ষে কথা বলা দরকার। এই জিনিসগুলো আমার মনে হয় আমাদের একটা লেকিংস আছে। আমরা 40 বছর ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং করছি, আমরা বিভিন্ন প্রোডাক্ট গুলো এখনো ভালো করে বুঝি না। মুরাবাহা আমরা ঠিক মতো চর্চা করতে পারছি না। আমরা গণহারে বলতেছি মুরাবাহা শরিয়ার সমস্যা আছে মুরাবাহায়। এটার জন্য করলে আমাদেরকে করতে হবে কি মুদারাবা মুশারাকা। মুদারাবা মুশারাকা মুরাবাহা সবগুলি শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্ট প্রোডাক্ট, শরিয়া অনুমোদিত প্রোডাক্ট। এগুলো খারাপ হয় কখন? যখন এগুলার অপব্যবহার আমরা করি, তখন গিয়ে এগুলার খারাপ হয়। এখন আপনি যদি মুশারাকা করেন, সেখানে যদি আপনি শরিয়া না করতে পারেন, তাহলে কিন্তু সেখানেও কিন্তু মুশারাকার নাম হবে। সুতরাং আমরা এই যে জিনিসগুলা, এই প্রোডাক্ট গুলো আমাদের বুঝতে হবে, স্টেপ হবে, শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্স এর জন্য কি ডকুমেন্টস গুলো দরকার সেটা বুঝতে হবে এবং সেভাবে আমাদের চর্চা করতে হবে। আমাদের এখানে এখন আমরা মাঝে মধ্যেই দেখি কনভার্সন হয়ে যাচ্ছে। একটা ব্যাংক ওভারনাইট কনভার্সন হয়ে যাচ্ছে। কি এমন জাদু আছে? আজকের ব্যাংক কনভেনশনাল ছিল, কালকে সকালবেলা 100% কনভার্সন হয়ে যাচ্ছে। এই কনভার্সনটা শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্ট হচ্ছে কিনা কে দেখবে এটা? কিভাবে যারা কনভার্সন করেছে তারা কোন ওয়েতে তাদের এক্সিস্টিং যে কনভেনশনাল অ্যাসেট গুলো ছিল এটা শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্ট অ্যাসেটে রূপান্তরিত করছে। সেক্ষেত্রে তাদের অনেকগুলো ইস্যু আছে। তারপর তাদের যারা শেয়ার হোল্ডার ছিল তারা কিভাবে শরিয়া কন্ট্রাক্টে এসেছে। এই যে বিষয়গুলা, এই বিষয়গুলা কিন্তু আমাদের দরকার। আমরা এওফির যে ইয়াটা দিচ্ছি বা শরিয়া বোদ্ধারা কিন্তু ওভারনাইট কনভার্সনটাকে খুব একটা সাপোর্ট করেন না। এইটাকে করতে হবে আপনাকে গ্রাজুয়ালি। তাইলে ইকোনমিক যে শকটা, এই শক পারবেন। ওভারনাইট আপনি করতে পারবেন যদি আপনি একজন ভালো চ্যালেঞ্জার হন। তাহলে আপনাকে ছেড়ে দিতে হবে বিভিন্ন রকম ইনকাম আছে যেটা আপনি সুদভিত্তিক সময় থাকতে করেছেন সেই অবস্থায়। এই জন্য আপনি যাতে আপনার রেজিলিয়েন্সটা যাতে থাকে, আপনি যদি শকটা অ্যাবজর্ব করতে পারেন। এই জন্য আমি জানি আমার বড় ভাই শামসুদ্দোহা ভাই জানি না একমত হবেন কিনা। এই জায়গায় গ্রাজুয়ালি যাওয়াটাই ভালো এবং এইগুলো যদি ঠিকঠাক মতো না হয়, একটা ব্যাংক যদি ওভারনাইট চেঞ্জ হয়ে যায় বা একটা ব্রাঞ্চ যদি ওভারনাইট শরিয়া রূপান্তরিত হয়ে যায়, তাহলে সেই জায়গায় শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্স এর ব্যাপারে ঘাটতি থাকতেই পারে। এইগুলো শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্স এর একটা দিক। আমি যেই বিষয়টা নিয়ে আবারও এখানে বলবো যে আমরা ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং যারা করি আমাদের অনেক রকম প্রবলেম আছে। একটা প্রবলেম আছে যেমন ধরেন কনভেনশনালে কন্টিনিউয়াস লোন একটা আছে আর ডিমান্ড লোন একটা আছে। তো কন্টিনিউয়াস লোনের বৈশিষ্ট্যটা কি? এইখানে যে অ্যাকাউন্টটা খোলা হয় এই অ্যাকাউন্টটা মারা যায় না। এই অ্যাকাউন্টটা চলতে থাকে, কন্টিনিউয়াস চলতে থাকে। হ্যাঁ, টাকা দিবে, টাকা নিবে, টাকা দিবে, টাকা নিবে। আর আরেকটা হলো ডিমান্ড লোন যেটা ক্রিয়েট করা হবে ইন্টারেস্ট সহ এটার ম্যাচুরিটিতে এটা যখন শোধ করা ওটা বন্ধ হয়ে যাবে আর একটা নতুন অ্যাকাউন্ট খোলা হবে। আমরা ইসলামী ব্যাংকাররা মুরাবাহা ডিল বেস করার জন্য আমাদের যেটা করতে হয়, আমরা এটাকে ডিমান্ড লোন টাইপ আমাদের করতে হয়। তো করার কারণে আমরা হয়তো ওই কন্টিনিউয়াস লোনের অল্টারনেটিভ হিসাবে যখন মুরাবাহা করছি, আমরা অনেকেই রিপোর্ট করতেছি কন্টিনিউয়াসে, কিন্তু কন্টিনিউয়াস লোনের যে ডেফিনেশন সেই ডেফিনেশন অনুযায়ী কিন্তু এটা এর মধ্যে যায় না। আমাদেরকে ডিমান্ড লোনে রিপোর্ট করছে ওখানে। কিন্তু বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক যেই এনবিআর এর সার্কুলারের আলোকে যেটা সেই সার্কুলারটা করেছে যে এইটা আমি যেই নামই করি না কেন, মুরাবাহা করি, এমপিআই করি, টিআর করি, যাই করি না কেন, এই জায়গায় আমাকে এক্সাইজ ডিউটি দিতে হবে। এখন একটা জিনিস খেয়াল করেন, বাংলাদেশ ব্যাংক কিংবা এনবিআর এর এই সার্কুলার মেনে আমরা যদি সার্ভিস দিতে চাই, আমার একটা কাস্টমার ধরেন 10 লাখ টাকার একটা লিমিট নিয়ে কনভেনশনালে আছে। সে 10 লাখ টাকার উপরে এক্সাইজ ডিউটি দিবে বছরে একবার। আর আমার এখানে আসার অপরাধে তাকে অন্তত আমাকে 12টা ডিল বছরে করতে হচ্ছে, তাহলে তাকে 12 বার এক্সাইজ ডিউটি দিতে হবে। এটা হচ্ছে ইসলামিক ব্যাংকিং এর জন্য একটা পেইন। আরেকটা পেইন হচ্ছে যে এই জিনিসটা আমরা আমরা আমাদের ইন্ডাস্ট্রি লিডারদের উচিত, আমি জানি মনিরুল মোল্লা স্যার এখানে আছেন, উনি একটা ভালো রোল প্লে করতে পারেন। এইটা ইন্ডাস্ট্রি লিডাররা এনবিআর কে বুঝাইতে হবে যে আমাদের তো কোনো ওয়ে নাই। আমাদের কাস্টমারদেরকে স্বার্থ সংরক্ষণের জন্য আমাদের এটা যদিও ডিমান্ড লোনের আওতায় পড়ে, কিন্তু এটা আমরা এক্সাইজ ডিউটি লিমিটের উপরে দিব, তাহলে আমাদের কাস্টমাররা ক্ষতিগ্রস্ত হবে না। এগুলো নিয়ে আমরা অনেক প্রবলেম ফেস করতেছি। কাস্টমারদের সাথে আমাদের বিভিন্ন রকম বাহাসে যেতে হচ্ছে। এই জিনিসগুলো প্র্যাকটিক্যাল পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউতে আমি কথাগুলো বলছি। তো যাই হোক, এরকম আমাদের আরো অনেক রকম সমস্যা আছে, এই যেগুলো আমাদের প্রাইসিং এর ক্ষেত্রে আমরা কিভাবে প্রাইসিংটা করব, সেটাও অনেক সময় আমরা বুঝি না। আমাদের জ্ঞানের ঘাটতির কারণে অনেক টাকা কম্পেনসেশনে চলে যাচ্ছে। এই যে বিষয়গুলা, এইগুলার জন্য ইসলামী ব্যাংকিংটাকে যদি আমরা সাস্টেইনেবল করতে চাই, হ্যাঁ, সাস্টেইনেবল কি? এটা একটা সাস্টেইনেবল করতে গেলে তাকে কিন্তু প্রফিটেবিলিটি দিয়ে সাস্টেইনেবল করতে হবে, আর অন্যান্য শরিয়া কমপ্লায়েন্স তো থাকবেই। ওই অল টার্মসে তাকে সাস্টেইনেবল থাকতে হবে। এইটার জন্য আমাদেরকে যেটা দরকার, যে প্রপার নলেজ, প্রপার ম্যান পাওয়ার। আমাদের এখানে যে স্যার আছেন ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটির, স্যার তো বললেনই, আমাদের রাহান ভাই, এই ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটি সহ বিভিন্ন ইউনিভার্সিটিতে ইসলামিক ফাইন্যান্সের যে কোর্স, এগুলাকে আরো বেশি চালু করতে হবে, এবং এখানে এই প্র্যাকটিক্যাল পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউতে আলোচনা করলে, এখন তো মার্কেট আছে ছাত্রদের জন্য। এখানে ইসলামিক ফাইন্যান্স পড়ে আসলে, পাশ করে আসলে কিন্তু আমাদের এখন 34টা ব্যাংক আমরা ইসলামিক ব্যাংকিং প্র্যাকটিস করছি, তাদেরকে অ্যাকোমোডেট করা কোনো সমস্যা না। তাহলে যদি ডিমান্ড থাকে, সাপ্লাইও তো আমাদের দরকার হবে, আমরা কিন্তু সাপ্লাইটা ওইভাবে পাচ্ছি না। তো আলহামদুলিল্লাহ, আমি আর কথা বাড়াবো না, অনেক কথা বলার ছিল। যেহেতু অনেক টাইম 8:42 বেজে গেছে, স্যার আছেন, মনিরুল মৌলা স্যার নিচে কিছু বলবেন। আমি যদি কিছু ভুল বলে থাকি, আপনারা ক্ষমা সুন্দর দৃষ্টিতে দেখবেন। কিন্তু আমি একটা কথা বলবো, যে আসুন, আমাদের ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং এর এটার জন্য আমরা একটা জিনিস, যেহেতু বিডিআরএল এখানে আছে, বিডিআরএল কে নিয়ে বলি। আজকে বিডিআরএল মতো প্রতিষ্ঠান এই ওয়েবিনার করছে। বিডিআরএল যে রেটিং গুলা করে, সেখানে শরিয়ার কোনো পয়েন্ট কি তারা কনসিডারেশনে রাখে? আমি জানি না রাখে কিনা, রাখতে হবে। কয়েকদিন আগে আমরা এওফির একটা কনফারেন্সে গিয়েছিলাম, সেখানে আমরা আইআইআরএ, ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ইসলামিক রেটিং এজেন্সি, সেই জায়গাটায় আমরা ভিজিট করেছি। তারা ফিজুচিয়ারি রেটিং নামে একটা আলাদা রেটিং করে ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং এর জন্য, যে ইসলামী ব্যাংকিং এর কাস্টমাররা যে বিশ্বাসটার উপর ভিত্তি করে ইসলামী ব্যাংকের উপর দায়ভার দিয়েছে মুদারিব হিসাবে, সেই দায়ভারটা তারা কিভাবে পালন করছে, এই জিনিসগুলো বাংলাদেশে এখনো শুরু হয় নাই। এই ফিজুসিয়ারি রেটিং হোক, কিংবা এখন যে একটা নতুন গাইডলাইন আসলে যেটা হবে, যে এক্সটার্নাল রেটিং এজেন্সি ফর ইসলামিক ফাইন্যান্স, সেটার জন্য বিডিআরএল এবং কিংবা অন্যান্য প্রতিষ্ঠানগুলো প্রস্তুত আছে কিনা, তাদের সেই ম্যান পাওয়ার আছে কিনা, সেই ম্যান পাওয়ার করার কোনো প্ল্যান আছে কিনা, এই জিনিসগুলো পার্টিকুলারলি আমি চাইবো। অন্তত যেহেতু আজকে আমি মনে করি যে এর আগে অন্য কোনো রেটিং এজেন্সি এই ধরনের আয়োজন করেছে কিনা আমি জানা নাই, আর 130 জন পর্যন্ত আজকে পার্টিসিপেন্ট আমি দেখেছি আজকে। এত বড় একটা ফোরামে আমি বলবো এটা বিডিআরএল এর কৃতিত্ব, এবং আমি চাই, এবং আমার এটা এক্সপেকটেশন থাকবে, যে এর মাধ্যমেই যে এই এক্সটার্নাল অডিট, শরিয়া অডিটের যে কাজটা, সেটা যদিও এটা ওনাদের কাজ না, ওনারা রেটিং করবেন, কিন্তু এই ফিজুসিয়ারি রেটিং এর যে কাজটা, এই কাজটার জন্য বিডিআরএল এর মাধ্যমে হয়। এটুকু বলে সবাইকে আবারও ধন্যবাদ এবং শুভেচ্ছা জানিয়ে আমার বক্তব্য শেষ করছি। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Thank you, Mijan Bhai, for your very practical perspective, your presentation from practical perspectives. Here, the first point, we all are very excited to know that banking services must be based on the compliance as well as ethical perspectives. There is no alternative. And in that case, definitely Islamic banking is a particular value-based, and to ensure the welfare of the society. So there is no alternative for that. But definitely the statistics and historical trend shows that Islamic bank and its growth is obvious in the country like Bangladesh. So another issues is that about the role, about the BDRL. BDRL always try to disseminate the credible credit rating, and this is our second program on the Islamic banking issues. Earlier, Ryan Bhai was so kind to support us in this respect as well. We also did another session on the Islamic bond, and I had also the experience to work with the International Islamic Rating Agency that is in Bahrain. I closely work with them. I had their experiences. So at this moment, BDRL is considering the nature of the loans for providing the ratings. And this is the initiatives we are in the process to develop independent Islamic finance rating methodology. Because as you know that, like when the client will come, the nature of loan tell us which methodology we will use. We have the plan, and as per that reason, we are organizing such kind of awareness-based program, and we are also trying to build the relationship with the scholars as well as in practitioners. So thank you, Mijan Bhai, for highlighting these issues. I hope we'll get your cooperation to work together to make this concept sustainable for the interest of the economy and the society. So at this stage, we are very delighted that here is in Professor Dr. H.M. Mosharraf Hossain sir is in here. And I had a very special relationship with him, that we were colleagues in some cases for teaching in the North-South MBA program for long and sitting together. And we know that SAR is teaching the Islamic finance in Dhaka University Finance Department since long. And SAR is kind enough to manage his time for today's session. So now we will listen from him about the today's issues. Sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Moderator, Dr. Syed A. Mamun, keynote speaker Khalid Mahmoud Raihan, panelist Shamsuddha, and another panelist A.K. Mizanur Rahman, and other audiences. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Firstly, I express my gratitude to Almighty Allah, the most merciful, the most gracious, who has created us and has given me the opportunity to be here. The Khalid Mahmoud Raihan has presented very thoughtful, important paper. I endorse all his presentations. I agree with his presentations. So, in terms of progress, achievement of Islamic banking in Bangladesh, all the indicators are favorable. That means satisfactory in terms of branches, investment, export financing, import financing, remittance, government exchequer, CSR, everything. Everywhere is very much potential positive. But I want to highlight on some challenging issues. Already Dr. Syed Mamun has mentioned, I am teaching this course in my department. But there is very lack of belief in our so-called Muslim people. Belief, practice. In the first class, I asked my students, why did you do this course? Sir, for completing MBA degree. Out of 176 students, nobody said, as a Muslim people, we need to understand Islam, we need to understand Islamic banking, Islamic finance. Very disappointing to me. And that was one kind of annoying to me also. Why, as a Muslim people, we have no perception, no attitude, no neck for knowing about our religion, about our Quran, Hadith, and even Islamic finance banking. So ultimately, there is demand side very okay in our country about Islamic banking, but I think there is a threat from supply side. Though I'm teaching this course, but you know, there is more than 100 universities in Bangladesh, more than 100 universities, public sector 43 and private sector around 60 universities. But so far I know, only in my department at present, this course is offered as an elective course, and no university till now has offered this course. So ultimately, from supply side, who will win banking sector in future? Who will lead the banking sector in future? Who will serve customers, depositors, investors in future from banking side? So I am transacting with IBBL for last 31 years. So my practical experience through this transaction is that ultimately the service quality, attitude, behavior of bankers of Islamic banking is gradually deteriorating. This is my practical experience because I visit Islamic bank frequently for transacting with this, because all of my transactions only with Islamic Bank, not with other banks. So this is my practical observation experience. Why this? Because basically those who are entering in this sector, in this industry, they have no knowledge, they have no belief, they have no firm commitment about their service to customers. So my observation here is that firstly, we have to educate people. We have to make aware people about the Islamic finance banking. Though it's not under our control, but we can take some initiative. We can organize some workshops. We can organize some special seminars where we can disseminate knowledge about Islamic finance banking, even our first most duty as a Muslim of this country. So I want to focus only on this side. In every university, there should be Islamic finance banking as a core course, at least in MBA program. If we can do this, in that case, from industry side, you'll have to take initiative, you'll have to meet to UGC, you have to meet to different universities for including this course in curriculum. If you can do this, I think in that case, in future, there will be no problem from supply side, those who will lead in the banking in future. Another side is government initiative. In our country, we are practicing at present, this is basically market initiative banking system. That means there is demand, there is supply. So from private sector, there was initiative to start banking in Bangladesh, and at present also we are doing this. But ultimately, from government side, we need very, very strong support, very, very strong cooperation. So if government is in favor in terms of formulating relevant laws, rules, regulations, and instead of issuing licenses, I think that will be more and more helpful about this. Another point is about Sharia compliance. So from investors' viewpoint, we can categorize into three: Sharia compliant investors, Sharia preferred compliance investor, and return sensitive investor. But in our country, mostly return sensitive, and secondly, Sharia compliance preferred investor. Very, very low percentage is Sharia compliant investor. That means firm committed only to do Islamic banking finance, not to be involved with other banking. But there is very low percentage of this committed people who will transact with banks. So if we can make clear the Sharia rules, regulations to the common people of the country, then I think they will be interested, eager to participate in this banking system. So from the banking industry side, they should take some initiative about the including this course in every university's curriculum. Then they should arrange some workshop for making aware about this banking concept, perception, attitude, and also they should negotiate with the government authority so that government will support in every aspect about this banking system. So with these few words, I want to conclude my today's speech. And lastly, I want to explain the thanks to BDRL who has invited me in this webinar. Inshallah, if you call me, I'll try to join with you, attend with, participate with for any affair in future. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you, sir, for your pragmatic presentation. And at this stage, like time has already been passes. We have got the good inputs definitely and wider perspectives from all the panelists. So from on behalf of me, I'd like to convey my gratitude to all of you. But before that, I just want to reiterate that BDRL is very committed to build knowledge practice knowledge and to create the platform of the knowledge, because we always treat we are the contributor of economy and also the economic units, banks, as well as our valued clients as their growth partner. So from that point of view, we always try to create the learning platform as well, so that we can learn, we can create more communication, and we can build the knowledge, which will be helpful for all of us. And in that case, like all participants and the panelists, we are really grateful for your views. So at this stage, I would like to request Samira for giving vote of thanks and conclude the session. And
Yes.
sorry, just like MD and the CEO sir of the IBPL has joined. Possibly we are trying to communicate him. So we are very delighted, and we also would like to convey our gratitude to him that he has joined with us and given the encouragement to us to organize such type of program. Yes, Samira, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to convey my regards and thanks to all the participants who have joined us today. Very enthusiastic participants who have asked, who have given their comments in the comment section, and they're great. We're really grateful for them. And I am very, very honored to have here our keynote speakers, Mr. Khalid Mahmoud Rahan sir, our panelists, Shamsutullah sir, and Mizan Rahman sir, and Musharraf sir. We're very, very grateful to have you here. And we all want your participation in our any future webinars, because our today's discussion was really, really great and fruitful. Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you all for your time, and good evening to all of you, and good night.
Thank you. Thank you.